Abel's BioInvest, which I am happy to mention is in its 7th edition this year. And for the very first time, we're having it in Bangalore. We've always had it in Mumbai. We moved it to Ahmedabad last year, and we brought it to Bangalore this year. Over the years, BioInvest has grown to become a leading platform for the biotechnology industry in India that brings together one of the primary fuels, that is the funding agencies, be it the venture capitalists or the public funding organizations, to interact and deliberate with the biotech firms. As you know, we'll be having Dr. Sam Pitroda live, so we'll begin the conference. And I would like to invite Dr. Vijay Chandru. Dr. Vijay Chandru is currently Abel's honorary president and the chairman, co-founder and CEO of Strand Life Sciences. Dr. Chandru is also one of the founding members of Abel. Please welcome Dr. Chandru.
Sorry for rushing, but I think we need to be a little time sensitive because we are doing this video lecture. So I think as you see in the program, we will start the lecture in about 10 minutes. So, well, first of all, welcome everyone. I think this is the first time we've held BioInvest in Bangalore. Right? We've typically tried to go to the commercial centers of mainly in Mumbai, and then I guess last year we did go to Ahmedabad, and so I think maybe now the pattern is that we will rotate the location, and the BioInvest conference was originally put together primarily to educate the investor community about the field of biotechnology and the status of the Indian industry, and also to talk about some of the best practices worldwide in investment in biotechnology. I think maybe that phase has played out its purpose to some extent, and now the industry has reached a certain stage where there is enough volume, both in terms of number of companies and in terms of the business these companies generate, that the sector is now familiar. So I guess then the question becomes what next for a one-day meeting like this, and I think basically we are going back to the issue of startups, the entrepreneurial energy that is very visible today in our young people, and what are the different ways in which we can enable this entrepreneurial energy to go forward, right? And to build the momentum that is needed very critically at this stage of the industry, because I think just like in the growth of a company where you get stuck at certain points where they say that crossing the first $2 million in revenue is sort of one stage, and then crossing 10 million is the next stage, and then 30 million the third, and so on, right? So sometimes there are these local sort of plateaus that happen, and as an industry, I think we are at that 4 or 5 billion sort of level, and the next jump really has to happen, and I think 5 years ago or 6 years ago, with the listing of Biocon and the and in some sense the kind of excitement that brought was, and we've been riding that excitement for 5-6 years now. So now there has to be a few more such events, and it has to be not just one single event, but several events coming together to make that happen. So I think certainly from an investor point of view, there's been activity. There has been sort of international money looking at India, particularly in this sector, particularly from the point of view of getting a footprint in an emerging market in India, and so that kind of investment interest has been there. But I do believe that there's an importance of both the public and private funding, and in public funding also the foundation type of support. And so this today's program actually has brought together all of these elements, and we've also used the occasion to showcase young talent, both a few both on the front of the few companies that we believe have shown excellent traction in getting started, but again, young companies. And then, as I started out mentioning the sort of the surge of entrepreneurial energy that we're seeing with young people, and there I'd just like to mention that ABLE this year as well has worked very closely with the Department of Biotechnology in running the national sort of biotech entrepreneurship program, what is called BEST, and it's a well-oiled process now of getting proposals in, selecting a few good-looking concept papers and good teams, bringing them for a boot camp, spending close to a week with these young people, helping them put together a business plan, and then even giving a little bit of seed money so that they can take these forward. And most of these have been student groups from all over the country, and so I think we'll be seeing the winners and of those teams. So later in the day, and I think how are we doing for time? Yeah, there's still a couple of minutes. Okay, great. I do think that this time there are a fair number of the executive committee members of ABLE also attending. So I can see Nitin Deshmukh and Murli at the back there. There's Rashmi, Narayanan, and for Shri. Sujay is around? Oh, I see. Yeah, okay. Yeah. And so Sujay Shetty from Price Waterhouse, and of course the various office bearers as well. So if there are any ABLE-related issues, certainly during the coffee breaks and lunch and so on, please do talk to one of us. But also, I guess there's a nice looking collection of people here. So I do think this could be a very nice interaction, just the right size where we can actually make it interactive and have your participation as the program goes through. I think just very briefly, I guess Sam Pitroda doesn't actually need much of an introduction, but as you all know, he did the amazing work on telematics, and in the 80s in India, and then has come back essentially for a second stint in the last few years. First at the head of the Knowledge Commission, which now has morphed into the National Innovation Council, and of course he's also an advisor to the Prime Minister on public information, innovation, and infrastructure. So I think he's working on various aspects, and certainly on he's very keen on the life sciences and healthcare, sort of together as a sector. And he's also has a strong rural focus, and it'll come through, I'm sure, in his remarks. Okay, so I think Sam is online, so we'll switch over now to his lecture. And then, Sam, about 30 minutes have been allocated. So if you can speak for about 20, and then we can have about 10 minutes of interaction, that would be great.
Sure.
Thank you.
Dr. Chandru, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is indeed a privilege to be here with you this morning to talk a little bit about innovations. I want to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity, especially Dr. Chandru, Dr. Kiran Majmudar, and all the members of the Association of Biotech-led Enterprises. First, I want to compliment you all for building a very solid base for a robust industry that we hope would continue to grow at the rate you have been growing for the last few years. 20% growth is indeed remarkable, and I hope biotech industry in India goes from 5 billion to, like software industry, to 50 billion. But to do that, we'll have to collectively focus on solving some of the very big problems and big challenges that we are faced in India. First, let me give you a little bit of a feel for what we are trying to do on innovations. And then we'll talk as to what biotech can do and how it can really help in this entire nation building process for the next decade or so. Government of India has declared 2010-2020 as the decade of innovations. As a result of this, government has set up a National Innovation Council to really promote innovations more as a platform as opposed to one little vertical which essentially focuses on almost everything we do. In a sense, we need innovations in government, innovations in our processes, in our laboratories, universities, in our industries. We need to create new business models, and we really need to be competitive in the global market. by bringing new products, new services, and all of these things require very clear focus on innovations. So National Innovation Council is essentially focused on 5 aspects of innovations. One, as I said earlier, innovation as a platform. 2, our thrust is on innovations for the bottom of the pyramid, inclusive growth, rural development, basic human needs. Because some of us firmly believe that best brains in the world have been busy solving problems of the rich. And as a result, problems of the poor really don't get the right kind of talent. We in India have the largest number of poor, and we have huge amount of potential talent in our young. So our challenge is to put this talent to use, to really look at the challenges at the bottom of the pyramid. What it means is focus on affordability, scalability, and sustainability. So everything we do has to be scalable and affordable. And this itself requires a different kind of focus on innovations. 3, we need to create ecosystem for innovation. Venture capital, angel investors, focus on intellectual property, new work environment, new work ethics, new work norms, ability to encourage young talent, provide them the right tools and technologies to work with, encourage them, incentivize them. 4, we really want to define some key drivers for innovations. For example, we believe India needs to focus more on durable products as opposed to disposable products. We need to focus on low-cost solutions. We need to really create Indian model of innovation, which addresses local problems with local talent. Invariably, people bring in a lot of Western models for Indian solutions. Finally, we believe it is important to have great deal of dialogue, discussion, and discourse to develop ability to question. We don't allow our young to question enough. And as a result, we sort of keep status quo. To translate some of these things, we have written to all the chief ministers to organize state-level innovation councils. We are working on developing sectorial innovation councils for subjects like biotech, nanotech, cancer, diabetes, auto parts, wireless, semiconductors, all kinds of different verticals we believe need domain experts to prepare a roadmap for innovations in the next decade. We are also launching a $1 billion innovation fund for innovations at the bottom of the pyramid. This is going to be launched, or it's already launched in a sense. It will be operationalized in early part of next year. The government has a small piece, and a lot of the other investment is going to come from institutional investors, multilateral agencies, and private entrepreneurs and investors. This fund would be able to fund a lot of the new ideas in biotech, and many other industries. This is the kind of risk capital that we need to encourage. But with it, we need understanding of intellectual property, lots of training, help on marketing, entrepreneurship, networking with the universities, with R&D labs. So connected with this fund is also going to be the need of the clusters. In India, we have large number of industrial clusters, from leather to biotech, pharmaceutical, diamond, bamboo, food processing, textile. In each of these clusters, Innovation Council is going in to seed innovations with right kind of tools for incubator, linkages with local universities, with national laboratories like CSIR. Hopefully all of these things would create a culture of innovations. But these things take time. It's not going to happen overnight. And that's why we are focused on decade of innovations. At the National Innovation Council, our job is to really be a cheerleader, promote innovation, facilitate ecosystem, encourage young, and really build environments for new ideas to solve a lot of our major challenges. In a sense, in India, we really have three fundamental challenges. Disparity between rich and poor, urban, rural, educated, uneducated. Demography, 550 million young below age of 25 need right kind of focus on skill development, employment, entrepreneurship to build their prosperity in their future. 3, development. In a sense, everything is going on in India. Lots of things are happening, but perhaps not happening at the pace we all would like. So we need to expedite the process of development through innovative ideas. Now let's talk a little bit about biotech. We all have great hopes from biotech community because biotech is more of a platform again which cuts across many industries, for pharmaceutical to health, environment, energy. It's really a new tool to solve some of the major challenges we have. Let's take, for example, health. We all recognize that the Western model of health delivery is not scalable, sustainable, or perhaps desirable in India. We need to find low-cost models. As a result, we need low-cost medication, different kind of vaccines, and we really need to go back and see if there are interesting ideas from our traditional medicine that could help us in reducing cost. Health is a big challenge. Similarly, agriculture, food also requires a great deal of focus on technology, science, and innovations. I believe that we have really not paid much attention to new technology in food. Our productivity could be substantial higher in agriculture than it has been. As a nation of 1.2 billion, we will have to produce food differently, package it differently, deliver it differently, then only we'll be able to reduce costs substantially. Biotech also has great hopes in our environmental challenges, starting from fertilizer to cleaning our rivers, providing better water. All of these things require new knowledge, new understanding, and thinking that is outside the box. We are not going to be able to address our challenges by looking at the past. We need to really look at future, and for that, we'll have to think out of the box. We cannot live with incremental changes. We really need generational changes, massive change, and that can only come from thinking wild. But wild thinking is not encouraged in our system. Whenever you begin to do something very different, people get scared. They discourage crossing boundaries. And that's where we will have to focus on young talent. I think biotech industry will have to look at these verticals very differently than the approaches we have taken in the past. We know that the bottom of the pyramid really needs to focus on basic human needs. Agriculture, environment, energy, health are very fundamental needs for the bottom of the pyramid. And I keep emphasizing about the Indian model. I think the Western model based on consumption and only consumption is not going to deliver solutions for India in the long run. And once again, all of these things will require a great deal of risk-taking attitude. We'll have to learn to celebrate failures. Again, that's not part of our culture. People always talk about Silicon Valley as the fertile ground for innovations. But Silicon Valley is connected with electronics, cyberspace, semiconductor, software. Innovation is not only about gadgets. Innovation is all about problem solving. And our problems are not necessarily related to gadgets. However, we do recognize that IT is playing an important role in all R&D activities. So in India, we have a program right now to connect 1,500 nodes to 40 gigabit bandwidth, to connect all our universities, all our R&D labs, major parts of our clusters, so that our research scientists and our academicians can begin to share data and resources. We all know that today research requires a great deal of collaboration. It is all about multidisciplinary approach, and it is happening faster than ever before because of computational power. We are also trying to connect 250,000 local governments, panchayats, to optical fiber. The idea here is to really democratize information. Use broadband to transform the landscape of education, health, research, and really give young people new tools and new technology to solve problems differently. Government of India is making huge amount of investment in NKN and connectivity to Panchayat. It also requires platforms for UID, GIS, cybersecurity, applications, payment, and all of these things are going to be critical for biotech industry as well. So we hope that biotech industry can give us new sense of direction in solving problems of 1.2 billion people differently with new tools from ICT, new young talent, and new approaches. We know we have a large talented community in biotech. You have shown in the last decade that we have been able to build from nothing to $5 billion industry. And now, like Dr. Chandru said, we need to go to the next stage. We need to go from 5 to 50 and not from 5 to 10. How do we go from 5 to 50? And that requires clear focus on innovations. I'm confident that our young talent will be able to focus and deliver new solutions, solutions which are affordable, scalable, and sustainable solutions for the bottom of the pyramid. With this, once again, I want to thank organizers for giving me this opportunity, and hopefully we can open up for a few questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam, for inspirational remarks as usual. And I think you certainly laid out the agenda for innovation and in particular for the biotech industry. As you pointed out, I think biotech as a platform today has the potential to address the four sort of very critical issues of development, health security, food security, energy security, and a cleaner environment. So, it's very clear that we need to develop and sustain this platform, and the private sector has to play a major role as well. So, I think the floor is open. Is there a microphone that goes around? Please. So, Sam, this first question coming.
I'm ready.
Right, come.
Good evening, Mr. Pitroda. My name is Rashmi Barbaya, and I'm a CEO and Managing Director of a small biotech company here in Bangalore. First of all, thanks for some amazing things that you have done for India, and for which at least I'm personally very grateful. When it comes to biotech, and particularly in the area of pharmaceuticals as well as agricultural and to an extent environment also, these are highly regulated industries. And while I admire the Indian government to allocate $1 billion for innovation and innovation council and all other rest of the efforts that you are making, including going to the chief ministers for statewide innovation councils, because these sectors, particularly pharmaceuticals, agricultural and environment, are so highly regulated, unless something is done on regulation, if I give you my blunt opinion, all this money and effort is going to be wasted. I have some incredible scars on my back with respect to the time and money wasted because of the government bureaucracy It's like giving a passport and asking individual that if you want to go to Sri Lanka or Nepal, I choose a right whether I should give you permission to go to Nepal or Sri Lanka, and I will take my own time. So, sorry for a very long-winded background information, but I personally feel that unless something is done for regulatory reforms in the field of pharmaceuticals, agricultural, and environment, the money and effort is going to be wasted, and there will be a lot of frustrated people. So from a government point of view, what is being done to ensure that with all good intentions and great work that you are doing from your right hand, the left hand is going to support your effort?
First of all, thank you for your question and thanks for your comments. In India, it's always easy to blame government. But that's what we got. See, I always say to all my colleagues in India, you don't need talent in India to identify problems. Indian ecosystem is given. We all need to really collectively recognize that there is a need for change. Fortunately, in biotech, I personally believe you have a great secretary, Dr. Ban, whom I know personally. He's an enlightened man who is very progressive, but he has his own limitations as well. So we all need to work together rather than pointing fingers. Private industry does not necessarily have all the solutions. Government also doesn't have all the solutions. I think if industry comes up with innovative solutions, I'm sure government would be willing to listen. I'm sure, like other industries, there will be deregulation. There was no deregulation in telecom 20 years ago. But we all have to work together to really create an ecosystem that forces government to deregulate for the better. And I think biotech industry also is in the early stages of development. If you come up with good solutions, I'm sure government will be willing to encourage industry, because they are not trying to solve the same problems. But if private wants government to give all kinds of incentives, tax-free holidays and everything else, I don't think it's going to happen overnight. So I suggest that we recognize that this is the ecosystem here. We all know problems. Like I said earlier, we don't need talent in India to identify problems.
Thank you, sir. Maybe
talent is required to really work within that environment to make a difference. I think it can be done. Today, environment is much more open than it was in the 80s, when we had 2 million talent.
so.
Today,
Can we just
private industry is flourishing. We have seen the benefits of privatization, liberalization, global economy. And I think today environment is much better for a liberalized system than ever before.
Sam, there are several.
I would not start with pointing fingers.
Okay.
I would rather work as a team and then be part of a change. That would be my proposal.
Sam, there are several hands raised, so I'm going to ask them to be very brief in their questions, and so that we can get all the questions in. Please go ahead.
I have a question. You spoke about innovations, but didn't say anything about inventions. They are two different things. In India, in biotech, inventions don't get financial investment. They are risk averse. What advice you have for investing groups? How to invest
in biotech?
In
India in general, we don't have the culture of risk capital. It is new. It is just happening. So I do agree that we need risk capital in biotech and many other areas. And that's why this $1 billion fund. By the way, it's not a $1 billion fund by government. It is a $1 billion private fund where government is one of the small investors. So we'll have to create more venture funds to take risk capital to the inventors. It is not just a problem in biotech, it's a problem everywhere. In electronics, it's the same thing. I mean, we really don't have too many new products coming out of our industries. We don't have a lot of innovations and inventions coming out of our industries. We hope that in next decade it will happen. And that's why I focus on innovation. How many patents we file? Not many as a nation of 1.2 billion. How many people really understand patents? How many people know how to read claims in patents? I think this is all new to our system. So it will take time.
The next question is from Suresh Narayan, who is the editor
Yes,
of
sir.
Biospectrum. Right, yeah, please.
Good evening, Sam. So, Indian vaccine manufacturers supply almost...
I can't hear you.
It's not
I
on.
cannot hear you.
26% of Indian children do not get the first shot of vaccination, even though Indian companies supply it to almost all over the world. So how do you get the health ministry and other government systems to procure these products of Indian innovation and make it available to the people who need it, the children who need it? And second question is, this India Inclusive Innovation Fund, is there specific allocation for biotechnology and related sectors?
Now, let me take second question first. No, there is no specific allocation for biotech. There is no specific allocation for electronics. There is no specific allocation for health or anything. It all depends on competitive ideas and what the investment committee decides. About the vaccine, we will have to generate pressure on the government to use local vaccine. That's all you can do. I mean, like I said, problems are pretty well known. I mean, look at our health system. It's not that great. We all know that. Look at our primary healthcare centers. Look at some of our doctors. I mean, in general, like in education, in health also, we need expansion, we need excellence, and we need equity. Quality is pretty bad, and poor have no access. That's India. Can we begin to change this in next decade or two?
Right. Narayanan?
Then only there will be inclusive growth.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge for all of us.
Yeah, Mr. Pitroda, I'm Narayan. I lead the...
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay,
Thank
my name is Narayan. I lead the agricultural biotechnology company based at Bangalore for Materialist Biosciences. Recently, we have become part of the Tata Group. You touched upon the challenges in the food front that our country is facing. And you also know that there could be some potential solutions which are waiting on the shelves but not percolating down or not getting deployed because there could be some interests which are against these reaching the people who need it the most. Now, my question is, does the Innovation Council also have some kind of outreach arm? I know that the stakeholders like the industry, the scientists and other people need to do their bit in trying to get the general public along. But I think there will be some credibility if the government also comes in, if it really thinks it's a stakeholder and if it believes in these technologies, to actually spread the right information to the people all over the country? No, you could interact the press, you could interact various people, but is there something like that, a component in the council? Thanks.
We have an outreach program. We do sort of spend time going out to press, organizing conferences, meeting people. We just had a report to the people in Delhi, where Prime Minister Pranab Mukherjee, Kapil, and a couple of other senior ministers were present when we released our report to the people from National Innovation Council. But that's a different kind of advocacy than what you are talking about. If you have something that is very critical, that needs to be communicated, bring it to us. You know, we have in our council members from the industry, including from Tata. We have academicians, we have scientists, we have about 17 people. And I hope that the state level innovation councils and sectorial innovation councils can also bring public pressure. In a country of 1.2 billion, 17 members of the innovation councils can't do much. You need 7,000 people talking about innovations and promoting innovations. And I see this as a process. That process has just begun. We need many more people like you all to come join us. Talk about innovations, bring problems to the surface, change policies, do a lot of advocacy, outreach programs at universities, in industries, in R&D labs, with our political communities. All of that has to be done. The fact that Government of India has declared 2010, 2020 as the decade of innovation itself is remarkable according to me. It never happened before. The fact that Prime Minister has appointed advisor on innovation with the rank of a cabinet minister, it says there is political will. But it also says this is the beginning. So don't expect quick fixes. But be part of the process. And maybe collectively we'll be able to make a dent.
Sam, one last question and then probably or maybe can we take two questions and then we'll close.
Whatever you want.
Okay, great. So Sujay, go ahead.
Yeah, Sam, sorry to hold you up. I know it's pretty late in Chicago. My name is Sujay Shetty. I'm partner at PwC. I lead the life sciences practice. And just echoing the comments in the room, one very quick question. Given your very vast experience in from decades back with telecom, working with the government, industry, etc., and you just said in the answer to the previous gentleman that this is the start of the process, be patient. What, in your experience, are maybe one or two barriers you're seeing towards us being India as a country and as an industry becoming more innovative? What stops us, in your opinion, maybe one or two things that you've seen over your lifetime?
I think ability to take risk. You know, our child rearing practices are such that we are not encouraged to rebel. You know, we are always boxed in. Ye karo, ye mat karo. Ye garam hai, ye thanda hai. Bahar mat jao, ye ho jayega. You know, that whole mindset right from childhood is don't experiment with new things. Everybody is boxed in their ecosystem. You know, rich, poor, Brahmins, you know, non-Brahmins, all that is so well structured in our system that you don't tend to cross boundaries easily. And I see everything in India in terms of Brahminian science and Sudra science. Brahminian science is to talk about science. Everybody knows all the solutions in India because they can have a conversation. Sudra science is to go do something. A lot of people ask me, saying, how come we are not very good at implementation? I said, implementation is Sudra's work. Making policy is not Sudra's work, it's Brahminian work. So we are great at that. I mean, this is one man's view. I'm not an expert. but I see things in my own way. And I think we are not allowed to ask too many questions, in schools, at home, and we need to learn to ask questions, very fundamental questions, and challenge. And that's where I think democratization of information is going to be very critical. In the past, information has been controlled by very few, because that's power. Not many people want to share. With IT, you're going to democratize information. So a little poor guy sitting in Bihar, in a little village, will be able to go visit Guggenheim Museum, and he will see a different world. In my generation, you couldn't do that. When I went to US in 1964, I'd never made a telephone call in my life. I was 22-year-old. Having lived in India for 22 years, I'd never used a telephone, because there was no telephone then. And if somebody had a telephone, he was too rich to be your friend. So I think, to answer your question, ability to really question and mindset, that's a big challenge. And that's why it's going to take a long time. And that's why I think young offer hope.
I think we only have time for 2 quick questions, so we'll just finish.
My name is Parthiban. I'm from a startup company. So you touched upon this decade is going to be an innovation decade, and given this, especially for a startup company like us, the role of the way the Indian patent offices works is extremely important for us. But today, it is, since you know pretty well how we are operating the Indian patent office, and it has to be at the same level of the international standards. And the way that we have an experience is with the Indian patent office is extremely bad. And in terms of user, especially for young entrepreneurs, it is not really encouraging. There needs to be some kind of a major action plan needs to be done, and we will be very happy to hear from you what is the action plan for renovating or refurbishing the Indian patent offices.
We are talking about patents. Are you talking about patents?
Patent offices, the way that they are operating with the public is certainly not in an encouraging situation today.
I agree with you 100%. Our patent office is being modernized. We need more young people in the patent office. We need to expedite filing of patents. All of that I agree. And I'm sure our Minister Anand Sharma and his team is looking at a lot of these. And if not, you all need to generate pressure on the system. But I agree with you. We definitely need to expedite the process of filing patents, responding to patents, intellectual property, copyright, trademark, all.
I know that several of you have questions, but we'll take one last one because the program is also falling behind. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Chandru.
Sure.
Sam, my name is Shri. I'm the Director General of ABLE. And after my corporate life, I spent 1 year working with Dr. Bhan in DBT. Now, you talked about an essential ingredient of entrepreneurship and innovation as taking risk. Now, taking risk is about celebrating failure, okay? Now, I'd like to know your view on how does, in this current environment, legitimize failure, where in this environment where mismanagement and possibly misappropriation is linked to failure, and distinguishing from the eyes of a risk-taking, government funding, those kind of things. Because this is a question that I've always worried about, because legitimate failure can have 2 sides to it. So what are your views on a particularly Indian problem that we have?
Well, we don't celebrate failures. We don't respect failures. Forget about celebration. And as a result, people are afraid to fail. Nobody wants to try something new. Because if you try something new, you might fail. In general, when you're trying to go north in India, everybody will say, why don't you go south? If you want to go south, they'll say, no, why don't you go east? Basically what they're saying is, don't make a move. If you make a move, it may be a wrong move. I think that attitude will have to change. And that can only come from families. To me, it has to start at home and not at work. Parents will have to encourage children to take a risk. Families will have to encourage people who have failed, saying it's okay to fail. You know, you may have a bad idea today, maybe tomorrow you'll have a good idea. You cannot have good idea all the time. And if families encourage, because we have a very strong family network system, then I think outside community will encourage and respect. But if we don't learn to respect failures, we won't learn to take risk. And this is not just in our culture, in many cultures, even in Europe. You know, I was in Brussels a couple of weeks ago giving a talk on innovations. EU has same problem, you know. Yeah, it's very different.
So Sam, actually,
in terms of culture than US or Silicon Valley culture.
So Sam, it brings me back to...
People don't like to fail. And as a result, people don't want to try new stuff.
See, the original question that was talked about, deregulation, okay?
Our advantage is young talent. If you really ask me, what is our core competence? I would say democracy, vibrant democracy, 550 million young, talented people, and 3, need to solve complex problems. This is India's core competence. Very complex problems to be solved. If you want to solve the most complex problem, come to India. Because everything is very complex. Rules and regulations, social systems, ecosystem, numbers. And that's where the challenge is. And that's why we need innovative solutions of our own. And that's why we need Indian model of innovations.
Well, on that note, let's all give Sam a round of applause, and essentially, you know, we would have loved to keep going on, but first of all, it is getting way past 9:30. I mean, it's around 9:30 now in Chicago, so I think we should let Sam rest. I'm sure he still has miles to go before he sleeps. So, so thank you very much. Yeah.
It is 10:30 here, not 9:30.
Oh, it's 10:30. Oh, okay, right. So that's even later. Thank you so much for joining us at this hour, and I think you know, on behalf of the entire audience.
Thank you, Dr. Chandru. I'm really happy that we were able to do this. We'll quickly get on to our next session, and I would request Shri Suryanarayan to come and chair the next session. Bootstrapping startups, the role of public funding institutions and incubators. Shri Kumar, as you all know, has seen the development and evolution of the biotech industry from its early days when he was the head of R&D at Biocon for over 2 decades. He is currently the Honorary Director General of ABLE and the Chairman of C6 Energy, a startup that he founded. He has played a key role in several national initiatives such as DBT's BIRAC, THSTI, and CCAMP. Please welcome Mr. Suryanarayan.